And I don't think I would have gotten this experience or such exposure at this age if it weren't for this podcast, because it was all like out of the textbook information and knowledge that I could gain. So I'm very, very grateful for the opportunity.
Hey, you are listening to Dream 100 Business Show podcast with Savita Hosamane. At Dream 100 Business Show, we are on a mission to help business owners move to the next level in their personal and business growth journey. In this episode, we will be having a quick conversation with Gunjan, and the topic is what we learned from 75 episodes of business podcasting. The story behind this. Gunjan interned with Dream 100 Business Show podcast as a co-host and had expressed a desire of interviewing me at the beginning of the show. Today, we are completing 75 episodes, and I wanted to make Gunjan's wish come true. So, on this occasion of releasing the 75th episode, we are excited to have Gunjan joining in as the host of Dream 100 Business Show. Welcome to the show, Gunjan.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a few months, I think, since I'd interned, and it's good to be back now.
Good to have you back on the show, Gunjan. So let's get started.
You. All right. Ms. Savita, why did you want to start this podcast in the first place?
Yeah, my whole intent of starting a podcast was I wanted to give back to the business community, create value to aspiring business entrepreneurs, and as well as even for existing business owners where they get a platform to share their story. I've seen that a lot of business owners have an aspiration to share their stories, but they do not get a chance on a platform to share their story. And there is huge amount of learning in their journey. So that was the whole reason why I started this podcast.
Well, that's amazing. And I'm sure like it has helped many people around the world.
From the reviews that we get back from listeners, they do share their learnings, and that's what keeps me going.
Yeah, that's great. So now, since there have been 75 episodes, this being the 75th one, what do you think are the changes that you felt or seen compared to like the first few episodes to now?
Definitely, with every episode, there has been a lot of improvements, I can say, when it comes to interviewing. Because initially, when we started off, like we were covering the entire personal journey of an entrepreneur. So by the time we came to the business journey and the personal journey combined, it used to extend to more than 60 to 70 minutes. And then over a period of time, I realized that if at all we have to capture the listeners' attention as well as make it very crisp, I started dividing it into personal journey as well as the business journey. So here we give an option to the person before we interview, asking them like what aspect of your life do you want to talk about? Is it your personal journey, like how you started off, how the ideation happened, and then how you thought of scaling and growing up, or in the business journey, like who you are and what you do, why you do, and the USP of the business, and who are your customers and why should customers come to you? This created a lot of interest. And this is where we are creating value with each episode.
That's good that you figured out where you can improve and it's actually made a difference. So congrats on that.
Thank you.
So now, when would you say like you started monetizing the podcast and the episodes?
Yes, after 5 months of our journey, we got an opportunity from one of the guests itself who inspired us to take up this aspect of monetizing, though I was not very much sure, because I had my intention of starting this podcast was mainly to inspire people and then bring guests from different streams. But then I realized that there is much more potential to podcasting than what I had thought. And I thought that let me just try out if monetization will work. And definitely it has worked, and people started sponsoring episodes. And that is where from the fifth month onwards until now, we have got sponsors sponsoring episodes of their journeys.
Wow, that's wonderful. So again, congratulations on all of that.
Thank you.
So now finally, how would you describe your experience throughout podcasting and your learnings after interviewing many business owners and getting to have conversations with them?
Yeah, like one thing that has stood out in all the interviews is the drive, their inner passion, which has stood out, and the focus with which they go after what they want. That is one thing. And the consistency which is there in entrepreneurs, whether they are winning or losing, they do not consider losing as losing. Everything is a learning. That was my greatest learning when I asked a few entrepreneurs, like, where did you fail in your journey? Everybody said there is no such thing called as failure. It is only learning. And the mindset of the entrepreneurs when they are taking decisions, what goes on in their minds, so how they think, that has also been a greatest learning for me during decision making times. And consistency, focus, these are all the things which I learned. And also when they share their journeys and how they bring in changes in their businesses, we can go back and implement it in our business as well. This is also one thing which I have learned. For example, let me state one thing. When somebody said that it is always good to have an emergency fund of at least 6 to 12 months. So that was when what inspired me to go and have an emergency fund for the business. Otherwise, I hadn't thought about it. So this way, each of the sharings have helped me to move one step further in my business as well as in my journey.
That was some great learnings, and I'm sure like many of our listeners also feel the same way.
Awesome. So, Gunjan, let me ask you one question before we wind up. How did you get benefited by interning in this podcast?
So the podcasting experience has been like wonderful for me, and I've got to like learn a lot about people's experience, their journeys, and also like the mistakes they made. I feel like the best way to gain knowledge and learn more about something is through like other people's journeys. And like when you get to know their perspective and how they learned through their years, it also like helps you like not make those mistakes and have like an early start on a lot of things. And a few like aspects that I like to touch up on is like many of them spoke on how to approach investors, like the do's and don'ts of marketing, and how important it is to keep your own team happy and have like a great team, because after all, that is what makes a business successful. So these were a few things that really stood out to me, and I don't think I would have gotten this experience or such exposure at this age if it weren't for this podcast, because it was all like out of the textbook information and knowledge that I could gain. So I'm very very grateful for the opportunity, and I'd also encourage all the listeners to keep listening and get inspired through every episode.
So, Gunjan, we come back to your first question as to why you started podcasting. So you see, it has been a great learning for you. And to implement this kind of learning, like when you said out of the textbook learning, this out of the
Mm-hmm.
textbook learning is what I wanted people to learn through these episodes just by listening to others' journey. So, thank you so much, Gunjan. Your feedback is amazing, and your
Yeah,
learnings
thank
have
you.
been very inspiring. And we wish you all success in your future entrepreneurial journey.
Thank you so much. Same for you. And hoping to see more and more episodes come out every week.
Thank you so much, Gunjan.